Now we're over at Push Square for an article which I don't like because I think you all know I am pro physical games, not at the expense of digital games because I have a huge digital game library as well. I buy digital games. There's a lot of like indie games which I can only get digitally. However, I don't want it to be all one or the other because I feel they both have a place for us. And as a customer, as a consumer, having options is the best and most powerful thing we can have. If it all goes one way and it's all only digital, I don't think that's a good future for us because with regards to like ownership, preservation, and pricing, it all just gets a lot worse. For me personally, like every new big game which comes out, I buy them all physically because they're always cheaper. They're usually about £10 cheaper here in the UK because you get all the big retailers. You've got like Amazon, John Lewis, Asda, Game Collection, Shop 2. There's tons of them which all, fight against each other for the best price, either on pre-order or for launch. Whereas buying the game digitally, it's just like 69.99. It's like full price on the PlayStation Store, and it usually stays there for a long time. Then you maybe get a good digital sale years down the line where they have, a big reduction. That is why this worries me. Push Square are reporting that digital downloads have hit an astonishing 85% on PS5 and PS4 last quarter. And this is again from Sony's financial results for the quarter, which is just like a treasure trove of useful information. That's why we're chatting about a lot of it this week. And this covers the 3-month period ending the 31st of March 2026. So this means the average for the financial year as a whole tallied 78%, an increase of 2% year over year, and a record high for the brand. Whoa, that's huge. So 78% of games purchased on the platform were digital. Oh, for the average for this whole financial year. So it says digital sales represented just 19% a decade ago, and they got their biggest bump during 2020 when the pandemic helped push them up to 65%, and they've been rising steadily ever since. This all comes against the backdrop of a recent DRM scare involving the PlayStation Store, which prompted fears about digital game ownership. As it turns out, Sony implemented a new check-in feature designed to deter players from taking advantage of a refund scam, and nothing has materially changed to your experience. Digital games can still be played offline after a one-time check-in. There's a tweet here, and it says, an aside, it's worth noting that while there's been a collapse in both physical percent share and units, there will still be 70 million packaged games sold in the past year for PlayStation consoles. So yes, the digital ratio is set to surpass 80%, but that 20% is still tens of millions. Good point. It's worth noting that while physical games only represented 22% of PS5 and PS4 software sales in the previous financial year, this still works out at around 70 million box games. So that's just what the tweet had just said. Considering the sheer size of the addressable market and the fact PlayStation still commands a global audience where some consumers may not have access to high-speed internet, it means PS6 will likely still offer physical media. I hope so. I just would not feel good if it did not support physical media at all. Oh, that would not be a nice future. Trust me, people. I'm not saying this to be a Debbie Downer. I'm doing this to help you all out. Trust me, because as soon as like these companies, and I'm not just pointing this at Sony and PlayStation, Microsoft and Xbox have been trying to shoehorn people into this for years, and they're further ahead on that journey. As soon as they get you locked in to being one store online for you to buy your games from for your console, the prices are going to be staying at that full price a lot longer, or potentially going higher, because that's the only place you'll be able to buy your games from. You won't have, like I mentioned, your Amazons, your Best Buys, your Shop 2s, whoever else, your Tesco's, your Asda's, all competing against each other to get you to buy the game from them. So that's not a good future, right? We don't think physical gaming is going away. we just reckon it's going to become more and more prestigious, a bit like vinyl, the article continues. That's an interesting take on it. I've not really thought about that. It'd actually be cool to see publishers turn back time and start enhancing their physical editions with art books and other paraphernalia, giving customers who want to pay extra the option of a true high quality boxed experience. I get that, but even just buying the physical base game is always cheaper when it's brand new, physically versus digitally. Honestly, I could do a full video on that where I actually compare and contrast, showing you the price I paid for it, physically versus what it's on the PS Store for. But where do you stand in all this? Do you prefer physical media and why? Do you think your PS6 will do away with box games? Let us know. And there's a little poll here. Do you still buy physical games for PS5 and PS4? Yes, I only buy physical games. Sometimes depends on the game or price. Rarely, no, I never buy. This is not a very good poll because I pretty much only buy new big games physically, but I obviously still buy digital games. Like, for example, I couldn't get Vampire Survivors or Balatro when I wanted them physically. I had to buy a digital copy. So let's just click here. Yes, I only buy physical games to see what the vote share's like. This will probably blow my mind and I'll start crying. Oh no, there we go. Audience of Push Square, you have saved my belief in the future of gaming. So 37%, there's 1,129 votes, FYI. Yes, I only buy physical games, 37%. Sometimes it depends on the game or price, 37%. Rarely, although I'm not opposed to it, 10%. And no, I never buy box games, 16%. So that's not bad. Do you still buy physical games or do you buy digital games only? And another thing I noticed people have been chatting about recently, and I have seen this myself, is when physical games come out and say it's a popular game. Like, I've noticed it with Resident Evil Requiem and also with Pragmata, actually, two Capcom games, which are great games and are super successful and may not be the best example for this, but it doesn't seem like there's the same inventory of physical games there used to be. They do seem to sell out and be sold out for a long time physically in multiple regions about the globe. And, the skeptic in me thinks, are they trying to push you towards buying a digital one anyway? Because one, it's more expensive. They get, obviously, I would assume, more profit. And two, because there is no other option for you to get it right away, you then would be more inclined to just buy it digitally anyway, just to get your hands on the game because you want to play it and everyone else is playing it at that time. I don't know. Let me know if you've seen that, where you've been trying to get your hands on a game physically and it's been sold out for sometimes weeks on end. Or is it just a thing, retailers are not holding as much stock because the facts we're seeing here is, 78% of the games over the course of the year have been digital purchases. So they're just scaling back the amount of inventory they're holding because if they're holding these games and no one's buying them, it's not good for business. Interesting times. Do you think PS6 will have a disc drive? I hope to God it does. I think it will be a detachable one. You'll probably need to buy it separately. They'll play that off as one of the reasons they've hopefully managed to keep the costs down a little bit. It'll be digital only when they sell it initially, but you have the option of the disc drive, which will cost you another $60 or $100 or whatever it is. It's a very interesting time in gaming future. But you do also see, glimmers of hope as well. Sales of vinyl is going back up. Sales of CDs is going back up. Sales of Blu-rays and DVDs is going back up because people in general are just getting sick of being ripped off by subscription services and by, I would say, decreasing quality of a lot of these subscription services. Who knows how this, next chapter in the gaming world will pan out?